Hello, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. Hi, this is Ganesh Naik. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career. And I also help students who are preparing for FRM and CFA exams to clear their exam. And now, with the part of that intention, I do a lot of interviews with my students who have cleared the exam, especially the FRM exam. And the similar kind of interview is today. So we have Rajshekhar with us, who has been able to clear FRM Level 2 in November 2021. This was the second time that he appeared for the exam. And we're going to be looking at his journey, what all challenges he faced, how he was able to manage the entire preparation. So some deep dive, some insight into his way or his methodology of clearing the exam. Okay, we are doing these kind of videos because a lot of students prepare on their own. They need to get an idea about how other people are clearing the exam, and they will also be able to clear their exam in the similar manner. Okay, so with this, let us start with the journey. So Rajshekhar, thank you very much for joining in and putting your time to today's session. I
Thank
truly understand that you have just now closed your office work and you have just joined for the session. So I really appreciate that. And this is going to be very helpful for the audience. So thank you very much for joining in.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
And with this, we'll start with the discussion. So now, can you give an idea to the audience? First of all, what's your work experience? What has been your total work experience till now? And what profile generally you work in to get an idea?
Okay. Surely. So I'm currently working. I'm currently working for an investment bank. I have over 9 years of work experience, and predominantly the last 5 years of that work experience has been entered into risk management in one way or the other. So couple of years in risk reporting, couple of years in model validation, and couple of years in modeling per se. So
Okay.
5 years of risk management, if I can kind of encompasses. Prior to that, I was also in the index business for a couple of years, and I started my career with the reference data quality part of the job.
Okay.
So this is what constitutes my work experience till date.
Okay. So perfect. Now, when did you give your level 2 first time? In which year?
Level 2 first time was in 2019.
Okay.
May.
And you
May.
prepared May, and you prepared properly in the sense, what was your approach when you prepared for the first time?
So to be honest, when if I can say this, yes, I did prepare properly, but there was more of hard work than smart work, if I can say that way. Like in terms of
Okay.
my approach at that point of time was completing one book after the other. That's how it was. And in 2019, if you remember, we did not have liquidity book over there, so
Hmm.
we had four books, including
Yes.
five
Yes.
sections. So at that point of time, the approach was so the focus was more on completing one book, finish one book, then start with the second book. So there was what was lacking was, I mean, which I found out very badly in my examination, was the lack of correlation. So how do I correlate one part to the other? Because FRM2
Okay.
pretty much that aspect, actually, how a question could arise, which could combine your concepts of market risk, operation risk, liquidity risk, credit risk, and so on. So it could encompass all these four concepts. That
Hmm.
cohesive approach kind of lacking. As I said earlier, I mean, there was hard work, but there was a lack of smart work over there. So that's exactly why I flunked at that point of time, to be
Okay.
honest. And
Okay. And
November,
then,
I did not. Yeah, sure.
so then when you tried for the next time, so May 2021, that was your attempt.
Yeah, I mean, so what happened was May 2020 was my attempt, but as you know, COVID stuck. 2020 it got postponed. 21, so 2020 both the times it got postponed. In the meantime, I had shifted jobs. So I mean, I shifted from one firm to the another. So that was when I had exactly contacted you, because I thought of giving it in May 20, as you said. So because I needed, like, I mean, I was preparing all right, I would say, for the second time, but what was once again was missing was if I could be found out the same way the way I was found out in the first attempt. So the lack of cohesive approach I felt was lacking, and there was a
Okay.
bit of I mean, how should I, if I can put it this way, I was not entirely sure whether what I was doing was right or not. I mean, I
Okay.
was studying,
Okay.
but needed a bit of, like, um, a kind of a certain content which could kind of combine all these elements in one shot. So that's when I had approached
Okay.
you, which was in Jan 2021,
Hmm.
for the May 21. Of course, that also got shifted because of the second wave of
To
COVID.
November, yes.
So yeah.
So basically, the first time that you prepared, the lacking was there was you since you're preparing on your own, so you were not
Hmm.
sure whether you are doing the right thing or not. So there's no guidance as such. That was the
Yes,
issue in the first time. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
that's true.
Now
Yeah.
from January 2021, when you were appearing for May, how was your preparation? So how many hours were you dedicating then on a daily basis?
So I remember our conversation which we had. So I mean, it all started like I would basically combine liquidity and operational risk together. One chapter of liquidity risk and one chapter of operational risk. To be honest, even in the first attempt when I'd given operational risk was my attenuer. I mean, that's where I mean, it went quite horribly. And I think most of the people who have given the exam, who have cleared it, and who are probably even now going to give the exam, they will find that operational risk probably the most. You have 26 chapters, more than 25% of the course actually, and
Right.
it's so much theory, a lot of things on governance and all. So you don't know how to make sense of it actually. So more often than not. So I mean that. So and also the problem, unlike as compared to the other subjects, you don't retain that part as quickly as you can with the other parts. The other parts maybe you read once or twice, you can have a fair bit of understanding, but that does not always hold the case with operational risk. So liquidity and operational is what I started, and I thought this way that come what may, operational, let me go slowly, but let me take steadily. So no matter what I'm doing alongside it, I need to keep this thing going, because I might 2 or 3 times for operational risk, and so I mean, before I feel confident about it. So liquidity I started along risk, then once I completed liquidity, I've shifted to market risk, then the risk management and investment selection, that is the fifth book, that part. And finally I dealt with credit risk, which is to be honest, which is a bit complicated, but it's also interesting. So that is something which I kept for the end.
And when did you come to know about the exam getting postponed? Were you able to
uh,
complete the entire reading then?
One shot I had done. Yes, one shot I had completed. That's true.
Okay.
What I felt was I required one more shot, for myself to be confident. But at the same time, I was also doing the questions in the question bank which you had given to me. So
Right.
anyways simultaneously. So I was. I mean, if I can be honest, I was kind of feeling confident on liquidity, market, and the risk management part. Credit part and operational part was something which I thought required a bit more time. So maybe a second
Okay.
comprehensive thorough actually. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And you were able to solve the entire question bank when you were preparing for May?
Uh, for those three, yes, and also alongside with that, even the risk, even the credit risk part as well. That's true. I think there were a couple of chapters in over there which I kind of missed out, but apart from that, thoroughly, yes, that's true. So I mean,
Okay.
more or
So,
less, I mean, it was going on track, barring this operational part where I was yet to feel a bit confident. Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
once the news came in that you were not able to go for the May exam, what happened to your
Hmm.
preparation? Did you slow down or you stopped your preparation? What happened?
To be honest, yes, I did take a break. I did take a break for a couple of months. Yes. So I think this news somewhere came around April beginning or something, if I remember properly. And to be honest, my wife had COVID, and I also had similar symptoms, but I tested negative at that point of time. So yes,
Okay.
I did take a break of a couple of, and I think I once again I restarted the whole thing again in the month of June.
June. Okay. Okay. And you did the entire process again. I mean, you started reading again, you started solving again in
That's
the
true. That's true. That's
same
true.
manner.
That's true.
And
True.
you
True.
also, if I'm not wrong, we had a discussion that you pick up the Operation Risk book and you just start reading it side by side. Whichever book, the main book
Right.
you're doing, just read the
Mm-hmm.
Swedger book of Operation. So, did that help you during your November exam?
That's true. That's true. I mean, so I basically started. I mean, although I didn't go in the exact order the way it is given in the book, but I
Mhm.
kind of, but it did help me because Operation Risk. That's the only way I could remember it, and it really helped me in that aspect. Yes.
Okay. So, when you reached till November, how many times had
Hmm.
you seen the textbook for Operation Risk?
Uh, Operational risk. I think I had done it 2 to 3 times. I can say that. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what about the other books, primarily the credit risk or market risk book? Were you able to solve
Uh,
when you went for now November exam? So when did you complete your one reading again? Which month?
One reading again. Yes, one reading again was completed by October. By October, I took it early, but I was somewhere down the lane. I was confident about these three books. So I kind of took it a bit early. So in the event that even if it does not happen again, I should be confident. So I had kind
Okay.
of done it in a more comprehensive
So till
manner.
October, you had solved your question bank also.
That's true.
Again.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, so in effect, you had gone through the question bank twice because of the lengthy time period of the exam and the
That's true.
content
That's true.
also.
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
fortunately, that 1 year paid off actually. I can say that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And now, if you look at in hindsight, primarily, which book did you felt major problem with while preparing?
Once again, yes, the operational risk. It was my better in the first time also, second time also. But second time I was kind of relaxed because I didn't approach it the way I had approached it earlier. I think what I figured out as I was doing this was like, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, right? I mean, when I was attempting it for the first time, it was more of a case of I was completing one book and then I was starting the next book. The problem with the level 2 is it has over 100 chapters, as we know. I mean, it had 101 chapters when I had given. So I think now it's increased again, actually. So is if you go just in the process of, I mean, this is what I feel. I know everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, but this is what I feel. I mean, if you try to complete one whole book, you kind of get bored of it. So
yes, definitely.
So it is, I mean, it's more of if we can identify the similar topics across each books, and we have a lot of such topics. We have VAR, which is covered in 4 to 5 of those books actually. We have core violation chapters, which is also covered in 2 to 3 of those books actually. So if you can identify these things, I mean, you can correlate them properly even in the exam, and you can also remember them much better way.
Right.
In a much better way.
Right.
So
now
yeah.
With respect to the question bank, so you had access our videos and question bank. Apart from that, did you got time to go for GARB book or some external question banks by any chance?
BT, yes, BT question bank, not GARP. I went through the BT question bank. BT also, the explanation that is provided for the questions is quite comprehensive, and it kind of gives you a sneak. And some of the questions in BT are actually far more tougher than what you can possibly encounter in the exam. So I mean, BT gives you that level. I mean,
but did you get time to go for GARP reading the GARP material?
No, I didn't do that. So it was pretty much Schwezer, the whole book, Schwezer, BT question bank, and your content, everything. So those were the 3 components.
Okay. Now, when you prepared during the entire journey, okay, was there a particular issue that you felt in terms of not able to dedicate time for your preparation because you're also working, right? So
that's true.
On an average, how much time were you dedicating from June onwards on a daily basis?
So when I started it in the first month, that is, I mean, that is after the break. As I said, after the break, actually, when the first time was, it was postponed again because of the second lockdown. I was probably dedicating, I mean, 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the night. So it was a couple of hours. Once again, I mean, because I had already started from the Jan, it had given me a bit of comfort in that regard. So it was actually 1 hour. I kind of tried to maximize it more as October came. After I had completed it, then it was like try to do it as much as possible again and again and again. Because the more, I mean, for me, it was more of a psychological thing. I mean, the more I read, the more I felt better. So yeah.
Okay.
So but initially it was 1 hour. That's
1 hour initially. And did you got an opportunity to have 2 weeks of holiday
before the exam? That's yes, I had that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And now, so just one point. I mean, reading the Schwezer entirely, okay, 2 or 3 times. Did it give you confidence for the exam?
Yes, it did. But there is a catch there actually. Also, I mean, for me, Schwezer, the content reading entirely won't suffice, no matter how many times one person. That's what I feel actually. It was also about going through the content which you had given and also the BT content, and thinking in that manner as well, because it is one approach to think about it, which is correct, which is the foundation, but there's also another approach to think about it. And more often than not, the questions that you face in the exam are much more complicated, if I can say that way. So it won't be that straightforward. So, and some of the, it's about combining the couple of items actually over there.
Okay. Now, when you went for the exam, okay, how was your 4 hours in that room? What happened?
It was nervous, to be honest. Yes, it was. And but what happened was, like a few things, I was kind of lucky, if I can say that. Like liquidity part, I mostly found it to be, it played to my strengths. And by the way, I also work in liquidity risk only. So I mean, I'm kind of thorough with that. And liquidity, as you know, it has a lot of questions, actually, a lot of sums, liquidity part, and
Yes,
I'm good with
yes, yes.
quants. So, I mean, so liquidity part, I pretty much, I mean, a lot of sums came, which kind of played to my strengths.
Okay,
Market risk initially, I think, if I can really put it in a much more precise way, the first 4 questions, I had no clue. They were very twisted. They were very, but I went on, and 5th question onwards, it kind of fell all right. So after that,
okay,
I didn't know when the time passed, because it was more of like getting. And I remember the first time when I'd given, I thought 4 hours were more than enough, because and that was maybe because I was not, as I said, not smartly prepared. But this time it just concluded 5 minutes before the 4 hours, actually. So
okay,
it was pretty
okay.
comprehensive. Yeah.
And how many theory questions or how many calculation questions came overall?
Uh, okay. So liquidity, you had majority which were calculation. Market had a mix, a proper equal mix of both. Credit also, I think it was leaning. I don't know. I can't exactly tell the percentages, because
Mhm,
credit had more theory than the sums. Although there is a scope
mhm,
for more sums in credit as well, as you know.
mhm.
Once again, risk management, investment selection, also you had an equal mix of both theory and the sums. Current issues is pretty much only theory, and which leaves us with operational risk. Operational risk had more theory, very less sums, very less. So
Okay,
you
but
almost face it.
out of the total
Hmm,
80 questions, do you remember vaguely? I mean, how many
hmm.
calculation questions were there and how many theory were there?
Out of 8, 20 to 25 would be the sums, I would say. So that constitutes 25 to 30% roughly.
Okay, okay. And when you appeared for the exam, so did you found any certain number of questions which are very, very tough or which
Yeah,
is not
exactly.
covered? Huh.
So once again, I wouldn't say covered, because they kind of test you in different manner, actually. But as I said, the first 4 questions, I was like, they were very complicated, and I
Hmm.
felt like I had no clue. But after that, it kind of, I was much more comfortable. I think, I mean, it worked out quite well for me. So the first 4 questions, I remember 2 of them were with respect to market risk. So yeah, I mean, those, and market risk, I know that I had prepared pretty well, actually. I was kind of confident, and it did work out that way eventually. But yeah, the
Okay,
first 4 questions were, but later on, I think I could manage the things far well. Yeah.
okay, okay, wonderful. Now, when you get an overview of the exam, like you saw the entire 80 questions. Okay, what is your
Mm-hmm.
thought process that how are they trying to test you? I mean, they're trying to combine questions from 2, 3 books together, or
That's true.
they're picking up what has been the pattern that you have seen in the exam?
Um, yeah. So this is, see, I mean, right now with the current issues, as you know, I mean, last year they have included the COVID cases as well, actually. So how the bond market
Hmm.
behaved, how the CDS and the IG spreads have behaved. I mean, and the comparison with the 2007 ISIS as well. So they kind of test you on all the aspects, if I can say that way. And I think with respect to, I think, I mean, once again, I'll kind of say from perspective, actually, the operational risk part, which of course is quite huge. The question is not about memorizing it. That's not required. The question is more about understanding that whole part in terms of, especially with respect to governance and all. I mean, just try to be more tactful. I think that's how they test it too. I mean, the onus is not on completely memorizing the whole thing. The kind of questions you face over there are more, if you understand the concept thoroughly, you yourself
Right.
can play it in different iterations, and you yourself can come up with different possibilities where they can possibly test you. So of course, I mean,
Okay.
I had the question of 1 year, as I said earlier. So that's what kind of gave me that comfort zone. And
Okay.
people who are far more sharper than me may find it in 4 to 6 months, actually. I don't know. And but ideally, I mean, I know a friend of mine. I mean, I told him also, like, take 1 year and prepare it comprehensively. That would give you a fantastic comfort zone, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, anybody who comes to you and ask
Hmm.
for the advice for how to prepare for FRM level 2, what will
Hmm.
be the 3 tips that you can give to those students?
Yeah. So the first one is, I mean, not to go and try to complete one book completely, because I'm sure anybody and everybody, no matter how good he or she is, they would kind of get bored, because there's so much theory in the second part. See, the first part
Hmm.
has so much more sums and all, which kind of keeps a person engaged. But second part, that's not exactly the case. Second part, there's so much more theory, and
Hmm.
it's important. understand each and every aspect of it, because as we said, 100 chapters, more than 100 chapters. So it's important that you don't lose interest, because once you lose interest, you lose the momentum, and then you keep dragging it. So it's important that you correlate one topic, and that one topic, they have made sure that it is prevalent across all the 5 books actually, in one way or the other. That can be tested in multiple ways. So take that one chapter, say if there's a concept like war is being tested in multiple books actually. So finish that whole thing. So you will be thorough with the concept of war. So no matter, so in a way, what you're doing is you're immunizing yourself from the possibility of losing marks in all the 5 books. That's so market risk tested. You also have the concepts of marginal VAR, component VAR, incremental VAR in your investment selection.
Yes.
Then you have the concept of C VAR over here. You have the concept of L VAR over here in liquidity. So multiple ways. So if you kind of finish that concept of VAR, you will be thorough in all the 4 books in as far as that particular topic is concerned. Same with the core, which is there in operational risk as well, which is kind of which is there in also. Yes, exactly. And same with market risk. So I mean, across 4 or 5, I mean, there are topics like this which are there everywhere. There are
so
only
basically common topics if you can read. That's the first point, right? So common topic if you can read.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. What about other tips?
Other tips would be like in one book, there might be one concept which is there only in one book, like counterparty risk. You have the CVS, DVS, and your exposures and all those things. That you have, I think, 6 to 7 chapters out there. Finish or try to finish all in one shot. When I say one shot, not in one day, but one. I mean, and combine the
in
thing
a particular order,
because those are correlated. Those are very important also, and but those keep you. It will maintain the tempo. So
right?
You won't lose the thing over there. That's the whole point. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So now, when the result came in, what has been your quartiles, and what has been the reaction of people around you?
Reaction. Okay, quartiles. Okay, quartiles. Market risk, I got 1. Liquidity also I got 1, and risk management also I got 1. But that is the first part of that 5th book. The other 3 I got 2. So it was like 3 1s and 3 2s.
Okay, what was for operation? 1.
2.
Okay. Perfect. So now, once the result came in, what has been the reaction of people around you, in the sense your office friends or colleagues or manager?
Well, they have been very appreciative. Yeah, they have been very appreciative. Yes, they have been very appreciative. I obviously was brilliant. Yes, absolutely. So because this has been, because as you know, because of the postponements and so on, it has been kind of dragging around for a couple of years actually. Because the first 2018, May. Yeah, so it's now 3.5 years, and of course, 2020 onwards, the exam hasn't happened actually. So yeah, it kind of dragged a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, one final question. I mean, for the audience who are in college or who are preparing for FRM, being a professional who's already working in the industry into the risk team, what is your view of FRM? How does industry take it?
So CFA and FRM are probably the most sought after certifications by and also the most recognized also by all the firms as well. They have I think. I mean, they are the kind of the gold standard, if I can say. Of course, there are others as well, CQF and all, but that is when you kind of specialize in quantitative finance. But CFA and FRM are the most global ones, and probably the most appreciated also. So I think CFA is more for a person who would be, I think, who's kind of predominantly into equity research and investment selection and all those things. So that CFA helps for those people. And for me, FRM, I think, since I'm predominantly into risk management, and I've had 5 years of experience in that particular field, and that is where I intend to continue and grow as well, actually, in the future as well. So that helps me. And also, there's an element of, when I first started FRM, it was like the quantitative nature of the exam appealed to me because I like mathematics. And if you know, the first part has one book completely on the statistics part. So that was quite to me. So through that and chapters like probability and all, but I have always found them interesting. And through that, I think I could correlate those aspects, and through that, the whole pricing of all the derivatives and all those things. I mean, and also the valuation part of your Black-Scholes model, binomial and Greeks.
So basically, whatever you're reading is almost there in the industry. For if you look at FRM curriculum, it's almost happening.
Especially with the recent development of liquidity book, right? What they have given actually, I personally feel that's a very comprehensive introduction to liquidity risk. Anybody who reads that and who completes that, actually, he would be very good to take it over, actually, in terms of applying it as well in the industry.
Okay.
Because that is very well thought out syllabus, if I can say that. Yeah. And you also have the concepts of FTP and IRRBB as well in that, right? In the
Yes.
liquidity sector. So those are some of the hot things, actually, as of now. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So wonderful. I mean, Rajshekhar, your conversation is definitely going to be helpful for a lot of students who are preparing for level 2, and people who could not clear in November. They are looking out for the May part. So definitely this will be an act of motivation for them to go and pursue their exam, because you had seen that part, right? Your family got impacted by
True.
COVID. You had that low period. The exam got cancelled. You had given the exam first, could not clear. So there are so many things which were in play, right? And you were still able
Yeah.
to maintain that consistency and prepare for the exam. So definitely this is going to be very, very interesting interview for those people to get motivated and go for the exam. So thank you very much for taking out
Thank you.
time and contributing towards this entire discussion. Thank you, Rajshekhar.
Thanks a lot. See you.